What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nasher, welcome back to the channel. Now, at the time that I'm recording this, it is Monday, July 26th at 8 p.m. I had just finished up watching Monday Night Raw. No spoilers if you guys haven't seen it. It was a crazy show, I will give it that, but the reason why I am doing this video now instead of tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, which will be the time you guys will be seeing this video, to give you guys a quick update, my grandmother, if you guys remember, I talked about how she had to have hip surgery. We found out today that she'll be coming back home Thursday, which is awesome. Now normally you'd be in rehab for about 6 to 8 weeks. She's coming home early, so I have to be I guess you could say that I'm gonna be really busy for the next week. Why is my desk moving? But anyway, guys, for today's video, I have a deck profile for you guys today. The reason, so you guys know, news videos would come every Tuesday, but there was really nothing to talk about. The only thing that there was there to talk about was like the next OTS, which I believe we're getting. Was it Black Lotus Soldier of Chaos as one of the big ultis, and even Infinite Impermanence as one of the big ultis. Usually, you guys know, with the OTS set, there are 3 ultis, and the rest of the set being supers. So yeah, that was like the only thing that was gonna talk about. But since I had already talked about it just now, let's get to the deck profile. So this is actually an Egyptian God deck profile. Post Egyptian God structure deck, Slifer and Obelisk for the July/August 21, 2021 format. This is a cool one because this is a deck revolving around token spamming, and what that means is the 3 main monsters you're gonna be needing are Scapegoat and Reactor Slime, which I'll be talking about in this video as well. The extra deck is absolutely fucking crazy, and the side deck is just as crazy as well. So I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get straight into it. If you guys enjoyed the video and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And of course, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button as well. Without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So first up, obviously, you gotta have all 3 Egyptian gods. So I'm running 1 each of the Winged Dragon Ra, Obelisk the Tormentor, and Slifer the Sky Dragon. Ra is pretty good because his effect says cannot be special summon, requires 3 tributes to normal summon, cannot be normal set. This card's normal summon cannot be negated. When normal summon, other cards and effects cannot be activated. When this card is normal summon, you can pay life points so that you only have 100 left. This card gains an attack and defense equal to the amount of life points paid. You can pay 1,000 life points to then target a monster on the field and destroy it. Now, if you guys remember from the anime, it would gain the attack points, the attack and defense equal to the combined attack points of all to the combined attack and defense of all the monsters that were used to summon Ra. But there's a card that can actually make that happen, which is called Ancient Chant, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But again, with Ra being able to just pop your opponent's board non-stop is absolutely is insane. And the craziest part, it's not a once per turn, meaning you can use the effect over and over and over and over and over again, which is insane. Obelisk is a lot better because his effect says once per turn during the end phase, if this card was special summoned, send it to the graveyard. So basically with this, if you summoned it off of like a spell or whatever, you have to send it to the grave right off the bat. But its last effect will shock you. For those who have never seen Obelisk the Tormentor in action, whether it was in competitive play, locals, or even in the anime, it says you contribute 2 monsters, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. This card cannot declare an attack the turn this effect is activated. Yeah, you can actually break your opponent's board with Obelisk, which is insane, which is crazy. And then Slifer is kind of an interesting one because Slifer gains 1,000 attack and defense for each card in your hand. But the thing is that your main focus with this deck is summoning Obelisk right off the bat and using your extra deck to overwhelm your opponent. With Slifer, every time your opponent summons a monster, whether it's normal or special summon, in attack position, that monster will lose 2,000 attack, and if the attack gets reduced to 0, it's destroyed automatically. So your opponent would have to bypass it by summoning higher up monsters, but that's almost impossible when you have Slifer as on the field as well, which is pretty insane. I'm also running 2 copies of Raw Sphere Mode. This is an interesting one, but what's cool about Raw Sphere Mode is that you can actually summon Raw Sphere Mode to your opponent's side of the field, and then during the end phase of the next turn, you can shift it to your side, and then use it to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra, ignoring all summoning conditions, and Ra's attack points become 4,000, which is the same as Obelisk, which is really, really cool. That's what I'm running 2 copies of Raw Sphere Mode is so if one were to be sent to the graveyard, you can use the other one to summon it to your opponent's side of the field, retrace it back to your field, send it to the graveyard next turn, summon Raw, and it automatically gains 4,000 attack, which is insane. And you can also pay life points if you do so wish, so it gains even more attack, but you don't really want to do that all that much, because if you do, your opponent may have an out to it, and you could end up losing right off the bat. That's why it's always better to think whether or not you want to use the effect of Raw, where you have to pay the 1,000 to destroy a card, to destroy a monster. You have to think carefully, because if you do that, it could backfire. So that's why I'm actually running 2. And then next up, I have 2 copies of Guardian Slime. This is a cool one. This is actually pretty cool because it says if you take battle or effect damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. So right off the bat, it's just broken on its own. During damage count, if this card battles an opponent's monster, as a quick effect, you can make this card gain defense equal to that opponent's monster's defense during that damage count only. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the grave, you can add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card, the Winged Dragon Raw, in its text. You can only use each effect once per turn. What's also cool about Guardian Slime is that it's a level 10 Aqua. Egyptian God Slime with Egyptian God Slime, which I'm running 2 copies of in the extra deck, you can tribute Guardian Slime to summon Egyptian God Slime, and then sacrifice sacrifice the slime to summon Obelisk the Tormentor right off the bat. That's like one of your biggest plays with this deck, just right off the bat. Now moving on to the 4-star monsters. Why am my hair is being stupid? Sorry guys, my hair is just being stupid. Alright you guys, sorry for the inconvenience. Next up, now for the 4-star monsters, there's only a few. First up, we have 3 copies of Raw's Disciple. This is like the main card that you need to have to summon Obelisk, Raw, or Slifer. I don't have to say anything more, but for those who don't know what this card does, it says when this card is summoned, you can special summon up to 2 Raw's Disciple from your hand and or deck. Cannot be tributed except for the tribute summon of Slifer, Obelisk, or Raw, and you cannot special summon monsters except by the effect of Raw's Disciple. So, if you have Obelisk in your hand right off the bat, and you also have Raw's Disciple, you normal summon Raw's Disciple, trigger the effect, summon the other two, and then you can set Soul Crossing face down, activate Soul Crossing, target the obelisk in your hand, tribute all 3 Ra's Disciple, summon obelisk, you're good to go. Plain simple. Plain simple. It's just that good. That good. Next up, I'm actually running a card. I'm actually running one of the new cards that was seen in the in the Egyptian God decks, and it is Millennium Seeker. It's a 4-star dark spellcaster with 1,000 attack and defense, and it says when you take 1,000 or more battle or effect damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can target one monster in your opponent's grave, except a monster with question mark attack. Your opponent can choose one monster from their deck, except a monster with question mark attack. If they chose not to, or if the targeted monster has higher attack than the chosen monster, special summon the targeted monster to your field, and if you do, shuffle the chosen monster back into the deck. Otherwise, your opponent adds the chosen monster to the hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. So with this, you can trigger Seeker's effect, target another 4-star monster that they have. If they choose not to, then you can special summon that monster to your field, overlay them into a card like Silent Honor Arc, and then activate Rank Up Magic Quick Chaos to summon Silent Honor Dark. Activate Dark's effect and be able to just punish your opponent by targeting, like, say, a card like Borderlord Savage Dragon and attach it to Dark as its own material. Well, that's one of the big that's another one of the big plays that you have with this deck, is the fact that some people call it an anti-meta. I really don't see it that way. But given the fact that I'm running 3 copies of Waken the Dragon, 2 in the main, 1 on the side, that it could be anti-meta, but only time will tell. And then for the last of the monsters, as I mentioned before, three copies of Reactor Slime, 3 copies of Scapegoats. Reactor Slime is pretty cool because once you summon Reactor Slime, you can summon 2 slime tokens right off the bat, and you cannot summon any other monsters except for Divine Beast monsters. And then during the battle phase, as a quick effect, you can tribute Reactor Slime, and then take Metal Reflect Slime from your deck grave, set it face down, and then you can actually activate it. You can actually activate it during the turn it was set, which is insane. Scapegoats pretty much just gives you a much more bigger variety, a much more larger variety of token spamming, because it's a flip monster. It says you can supposed to summon any number of Black Sheep tokens to your field. By that, meaning you can summon up to 4 Black Sheep tokens right off the bat, which will give you even more plays to summon Obelisk or even Slifer for that matter. Moving on into the spells, we have 3 copies of the True Name and 3 copies of Card Advance. This is a pretty interesting combo. These are like 2 of the biggest cards that you need to have in your opening hand, because what you do is especially if you're going first, you activate Card Advance. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, or you can arrange them in any order that you want. Put them back on top of the deck. Activate the True Name. Call out the first card that you saw, which could potentially be Waken the Dragon, or even also Mound of the Bound Creator. You add one of those cards to your hand, and then you can also add Obelisk, Ra, or Slifer from your deck to your hand right off the bat. But you can also add Raw Sphere Mode as well, which is pretty insane. This is one of the main combo starters to go into Obelisk turn 1 or turn 2, depending on whether you're going first or second, which is really good. Next up, we have 2 copies of Ancient Chant. This is one of the cards that I had talked about earlier on in the video, where it lets Ra gain the attack defense of all the monsters that were used to summon Ra. So it says add 1 Ra from your deck or grave to your hand. And if you do, you can tribute summon a monster during your main phase this turn. In addition to your normal summon or set, you can only gain this effect once per turn. You can banish the card from your grave. If you tribute summon the Winged Dragon Raw, this turn, its original attack and defense become the combined original attack and defense of the monsters tributed for its summon. You can only activate one enchant per turn. So this is like a really good, like a really great way to go for a massive OTK. So if you have Ancient Chant, you've got Raw's Disciple, you activate Ancient Chant, you add Raw to your hand, banish Ancient Chant, tribute all 3 Raw's Disciples, and you can summon Raw right off the bat. Which means it would gain 300 attack and 1800 defense right off the bat, which is really good. Moving on into the spells, we have the 1 copy of Monster Reborn, mainly for cards like Reactor Slime, Millennium Seeker, and even also Scapegoats. But you're mainly going to be using Reborn for Reactor Slime and Millennium Seeker, just because of the fact that you want to spam your board with as many tokens as you can, while at the same time use the effect of Millennium Seeker to go into your link plays, such as IP Masquerena, Access Code Talker, which is like one of the big ones that's in the extra deck, truth be told. So, Monster Reborn, you gotta have it. 1 copy of Blaze Cannon. This is a very unique card. So if you guys don't know what this card does, it says this card is always treated as a Blaze Accelerator card. And by that, it can also be used with Volcanics, crazy enough. The Winged Dragon Raw you control gains the following effects until the end of the turn. This card's activation and effect cannot be negated. So your opponent can't use cards like MST or anything like that. This card is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. When an attack is declared involving this card, you contribute any number of other monsters that did not declare an attack this turn. This card gains attack equal to the tributed monsters. Combine original attack until the end of the turn. The tributed monsters combine original attack until the end of the turn. After damage count, if this card attacked, you can send all monsters your opponent controls to the graveyard. So being able to just protect Raw from being being affected by card effects, and being able to give Raw even more attack power, and to be able to just break your opponent's board with this card right off the bat, absolutely crazy, absolutely insane. It's only a one-of because obviously you're not gonna see Raw all that much. You're mostly gonna be seeing Slifer and Obelisk a little bit more than Raw, so that's why I only put this to 1. Next up, we have 3 copies of Soul Crossing. I talked about it earlier. Being able to just use this card to tribute your opponent's monsters to summon one of the 3 Egyptian gods. It's absolutely insane. It's crazy. It's crazy. This card is too broken. I'm glad that these cards are finally in print in English in the TCG, because these cards are exactly what the Egyptian gods needed to give them an even bigger boost, if you will. Next up, we have 2 copies of Rank Up Magic Quick Chaos. You're probably wondering why. Well, I talked about how you can go into Silent Honor Arc into Silent Honor Dark. Well, there's also another card that can also be used as well off of the effects of Awaken the Dragon. That is number 107, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. Use Quick Chaos, go into Neo Tachyon. That right, you have a pretty good amount of negation on board. You have what? You have what? 2 negates? Literally, you would have a pretty good increment of negates right off the bat. Right off the bat. Next up, we have the 1 copy of Thunder Force Attack and Fist of Fate. So obviously we've got Blaze Cannon. Now we needed the other 2, which is Thunder Force Attack and Fist of Fate. Thunder Force Attack is pretty cool because it says this card's activation and effect cannot be negated. If you control a monster whose original name is Slifer the Sky Dragon, destroy as many face-up monsters your opponent controls as possible. Then, if you activate this card during the main phase, you can apply the following effect. Draw cards equal to the number of monsters destroyed by this effect and sent to your opponent's grave. Also, you can only attack with 1 monster per turn. You can only activate Thunder Force Attack once per turn. So, this card is absolutely insane. that you're gonna be activating this during your main phase, you're gonna be drawing a lot of cards with Slifer on the field. Now, Obelisk is different because it says because the second part says negate the effects of one monster your opponent controls, and if you do, destroy it. And if you do that for the rest of this turn, the effects of that monster are negated, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of monsters with the same original name. Then, if you activate this card during the main phase, you can apply this effect, destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. You can only activate one Fist of Fate per turn. So basically with Blaze Cannon, it mainly focuses on protecting the Winged Dragon Raw and giving it extra attack. Thunder Force attack focuses on breaking your opponent's monster board and also drawing cards so Slifer gains even more power. And Fist of Fate focuses not just on negating one of your opponent's monsters, but just destroying your opponent's back row right off the bat. These three cards together, if you have all three gods on the field and you play all three cards during your main phase, yeah, you're gonna have a pretty broken combo. That's like having these two cards in one turn is like playing cards like Harpy's Feather Duster, Infinite Impermanence, and even also Regeki in the same turn. Like, boof, mind blowing. And then for the last of the spells, we have the one copy of Millennium Revelation. I did talk about this in a while back when the release of Rage of Raw came out. When the release of Rage of Raw was announced, but it says you can send one Divine Beast monster from your hand to the grave, add one Monster Reborn from your deck or grave to your hand. You can send the face-up card to the grave. This turn, you can spell summon the Winged Dragon Raw from your grave with Monster Reborn, ignoring any summoning conditions. During the end phase, during the end phase of the turn this effect was activated, you must send the Winged Dragon Raw you control that was special summoned with Monster Reborn to the graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. So basically, you're allowed to use this multiple times off of the effects of Raw Sphere Mode, where you can keep adding Monster Reborn to your graveyard, and then just go ahead and summon Raw right off the bat. It's just that crazy. And then for the last of the spells, we have two copies of Mound of the Battle Creator. No, I am not running Terraforming because that I'm running a card like Fist of Fate. This card, and even also cards like Card Advance, and even also the True Name, help make it easier to search out for Mound of the Battle Creator, which is pretty good. Moving on into the traps, we have two copies of Waken the Dragon. I did talk about this card with Tachyon Dragon, but there's also another card. But there's also three other cards that can also be used. That can also be summoned off the effects of Waking the Dragon. And I'll be talking about that a little later on once I get to the extra deck here in just a moment. So, Waken the Dragon, hell of a crazy card. Once the card is destroyed by your opponent's effect, you can summon anything, literally anything from your deck, from your main deck or your extra deck, ignoring all summoning conditions. Which means if you wanted to, you can summon a card like, I don't know, say Appaloosa. You can summon Access Code Talker. You can summon anything, which is insane. Three copies of Metal Reflect Sign. This is like one of the big cards that you can use to summon the gods. It's just that broken. Use this, summon. You can also use Metal Reflect Slime to summon Egyptian God Slime instead of Guardian Slime as well, and then you contribute the slime to summon one of the gods. And then last but not least, two copies of Ultimate Divine Beast. This is basically a Monster Reborn for the gods, and what's cool about this is that it can be summoned to your field in defense position, and then change the attack target to that monster. And then during the end phase, if you control a Divine Beast monster, you can destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls that activate their effect on the field this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. This is another good card to wipe your opponent's board right off the bat, which is really, really good. Moving on into the extra, we have 2 copies of Egyptian God Slime. I talked about it earlier. Going into cards like Raw, Obelisk, and Cypher, off the effects of the Egyptian God Slime, absolutely crazy. Now moving on with one of the 3 targets, or actually one of the 4 targets for Waking the Dragon. What is that card, you may ask? Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Yes, even though it does say what the materials are required to summon it, you don't need them. You can actually summon Dragoon off of the effects of Waken the Dragon. So if your opponent destroys Waken the Dragon by your opponent's effect, or banish it, mind you, you can summon Red Eyes Dark Dragoon right off the bat, and you have an instant Omni Negate. And what that means is you can negate as many times as you want, and Dragoon will gain more and more and more power, which is crazy. Another really good target is actually a card that I'm running in my Dark World deck, which I'm still missing a bunch of cards. It is called Dragocytos Corrupted Nether Soul Dragon. This is a really good one because this card cannot be destroyed in battle, and when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle sent into the grave, it can make a second attack. So it has the effects of Cyber Twin Dragon, where it can make a second attack. But it can only make that second attack, on an opponent's monster. And then during your standby phase, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and its attack becomes half its current attack. And your opponent gets dealt damage equal to the lost attack. Hello, you're dealing damage with Dragocytos, which is insane, and you're able to attack twice. It's a 4,000 attack beat stick. It's just crazy. Next up, we have obviously Tachyon and Neo Tachyon. I don't have to say anything else about them. Another really good one is number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. This is another really good Omni Negate because once per turn, when a spell or effect is activated on the field, you can actually negate the effect and attach that card to number 38 as its material, which will give you access to detach that material to redirect a target and an attack to number 38 himself, which is really, really good. And then of course the Silent Honor package. We have Silent Honor Arc and Silent Honor Dark. Being able to just use Dark to resurrect itself when Silent Honor Arc is in the grave, absolutely crazy, absolutely insane. For the links, there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's actually 6 links in here. We have Access Code Talker, which is another really good card. I don't have to explain. You guys know what it does. It's self-explanatory. Nightmare, Unicorn, and Phoenix. Unicorn focuses on returning a card on the field to the deck, no matter what it was. And if it's code-linked to another link monster, you get to draw a card, which is really cool. And what's also cool about Unicorn is that its last effect says, while any code-linked Nightmare monsters on the field for your normal draw in your draw phase, draw 1 card for each different card named one of those code-linked Nightmare monsters instead of drawing just 1. So because that you have Unicorn and Phoenix right on the field, instead of drawing 1 card, you're actually drawing. So not only are you drawing 1 card for your normal draw phase, but you're also drawing 2 additional cards off of Unicorn's effect, with Unicorn and Phoenix on the field. And Phoenix's effect mainly actually focuses on destroying your opponent's back row just easily. And then of course the one IP Masquerena, using this to go into Unicorn and Access Code Talker, it's just that good. That's how good IP is. Link Karibo is a really good disruption, but it can easily backfire as well. So you want to try and maximize the token spamming as much as possible, so you can actually use Link Karibo's effect over and over again. And then another really good one is none other than Relinquished Anima. This is a really cool one because this has an effect similar to the original Relinquish, but the monster has to be on in a zone that Anima points to. So with that, you can just activate Anima's effect and attach it right off the bat. Easily. That is it for the extra. For the Scythe, we actually have a small artifact package. We have 2 Scythe and 1 Lancia. Scythe basically just prevents your opponent from special summoning monsters from the extra deck. Lancia focuses on the fact that neither player can banish cards for the rest of their turn. I actually have two of those, and then 2 copies of Ash Blossom. I don't have to explain. Ash Blossom is Ash Blossom. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, self-explanatory, really good card. Xyz Import. This is the one card that you want to use on Neo, Galaxy Eyes, Tachyon, Dragon, because you want to try and maximize having a good amount of negation on board. And by using the effects of Xyz Import, you can target Neo Tachyon, target one of your opponent's monsters, attach that monster to Neo Tachyon as its own material, which is a insanely good card. And being able to just detach that, and being able to detach said card gives you a good negation, because it says once per turn, detach 1 material from this card. Until the end of this turn, negate the effects of all other face-up cards currently on the field. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects on the field. If this card has Tachyon Dragon as material, it gains this effect. You can contribute 2 monsters. This card can make up to 3 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. So it has an effect similar to Dragocytos, but Tachyon gains an additional attack. For the traps, we have the third Waking the Dragon. We've got the three artifact Sanctum, obviously for the artifact package. And then last but not least, we have the 1 Solemn Strike and the 1 Solemn Warning. So guys, that is going to do it for this deck profile. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this. I think this deck is pretty good. I think this deck is a whole lot of fun to play with. I've done some extensive test playing with this deck, and it's pretty good. If you guys want to see the deck in full, I'll post it on my Instagram just a few hours after the video gets posted. So make sure you guys check out the photo. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the foreseeable future. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.